Students, good morning. As a continuation of the competency 13.4 Introduction to Hematology, we will be talking about the different investigations of anemia. Anemia, along with being a clinical diagnosis, also requires laboratory investigations and diagnosis. As you all know that anemia is a state, not a disease, in which the hemoglobin or the red cell mass is less than normal. Anemia can occur due to various causes. Just as a revision, it can occur because of depression of the bone marrow, deficiency of essential substances, excessive blood loss, or increased hemolysis. In depression of the bone marrow, there can be hypofunction, hyperplastic anemia, there can be non-function, aplastic anemia, or there can be invasion with metastatic tumor cells. Deficiency of essential substances is the most common cause of anemia, especially iron, vitamin B12 and folic acid. Excessive blood loss occurring during hemorrhage, postpartum hemorrhage, or increased hemolysis, the different causes of hemolytic anemia. Now, what is the diagnostic approach of anemia? Clinical history is an important component of the diagnostic approach of anemia. Most important is clinical history, how you clinically examine the patient. There are different forms of clinical history. They can be pallor, that is pallor of the tongue, pallor of the sclera. There are different, if there is excessive anemia, it can lead to lassitude, edema. So clinical history is an important component of the diagnostic approach. First is age and gender. In infants or young baby, the important cause of anemia is congenital hemolytic anemia, more likely. In school going age, congenital hemolytic anemia and bleeding disorders like hemophilia are likely, but more common are parasitic infestations, very common. Worm infestation, very important cause of anemia in school going children. In females 40 years and above, iron or folic acid deficiency, B12 deficiency, and in females of reproductive age group, increased blood loss during menstruation can be an important cause. Clinical examination. It is a very elaborate subject, so we cannot go into much detail. There can be the presence of petechial bleeding, dry pale tongue, splenomegaly, hepatomegaly, koilonychia have to be taken into consideration before prescribing laboratory investigations. Mongoloid faces with a prominent maxillary prominence can be due to extramedullary hematopoiesis in thalassemia. So in short, before prescribing just laboratory investigation as a backdrop in the era of evidence-based medicine, more important is first examining the patient clinically. Now, coming on to the classification of anemia, morphological etiological classification. Microcytic hyperchromic anemia. What is microcytic hyperchromic? That is the RBCs are small in size, and chromia, that is the hemoglobin concentration or the pink color of the RBC is less. How do you compare whether it is microcytic or normocytic or macrocytic? You have to compare it with the size of the nucleus of the small lymphocyte. The size of the nucleus of the small lymphocyte is between 7 to 9 micrometers. So if the size of the RBC in the center of the tongue-shaped smear is smaller than the nucleus of the small lymphocyte, it is termed as microcytic anemia. If it is near about same as the size of the small lymphocyte nucleus, it is normocytic. If it is larger, it is macrocytic. This is just the size as a comparison factor with the nucleus of the small lymphocyte. But hypochromia will depend upon the extent of the central pallor. If it is more, it is hypochromia. If it is normal, it is normochromia. Okay. So, microcytic hyperchromic anemia, important cause iron deficiency anemia. Macrocytic hyperchromic anemia, vitamin B12 or folic deficiency, folic acid deficiency. Hemolytic anemia due to blood loss. Normocytic hypochromic anemia means the size of the RBC is normal but the chromia is less. Most important causes anemia of chronic infection and anemia of liver disease, alcoholic liver disease, and normocytic normochromic anemia. What do you mean by that? Size is normal, chromia is normal, but hemoglobin concentration is less. That occurs due to acute blood loss. Now coming on to the laboratory investigations in anemia. For convenience of description, this can be grouped into basic investigation. What is basic investigation? Just to know whether there is anemia or not. Anemia present, yes, or anemia not present, no. The second are the routine investigations to know if anemia is present, what is the cause of anemia, and what is the type of anemia. And third are the special investigations, also known as confirmatory and supportive investigations, to achieve the subtype of anemia. Now coming on to the basic investigations in anemia. First, as you very well know, hemoglobin estimation. Sally's hemoglobinometer is an obsolete method. The most important method for hemoglobin estimation is the Smith hemoglobin method, in which you know what is the content of hemoglobin in the body. Second, RBC count. Third is the red cell distribution width and the packed cell volume. Their levels and values indicate the severity of anemia. PCV means packed cell volume, and VPRC is the volume of packed RBCs. So when we talk about CBC, when we take it out from the mechanized machines or the blood cell counters, the colloquial term what we use is CBC, that is complete blood count. Now what does this complete blood count include? Number 1, hemoglobin. Number 2, RBC count. Number 3, MCV, MCH, MCHC, PCV, RDW, the total leukocyte count, the differential leukocyte count, the platelet count, and the platelet distribution rate. So CBC just does not mean hemoglobin and RBC. It is the complete spectrum of the levels of the different cells that are present in the blood. Now hemoglobin estimation, the clinical grading and the hemoglobin correlation. Mild anemia, hemoglobin levels according to ICMR and WHO I have given in different tables. Mild anemia is 10 to 12 gram per deciliter, moderate 7 to 10, and severe is less than 7. Now, what are the normal reference value of hemoglobin in the blood? In the adult male it is 13.5 to 17.5, adult female 12 to 16, and in the cord blood 14 to 19. Children less than 3 months 9.5 to 10, less than 12 years 11 to 14.5, and PCV is packed cell volume. It is always expressed as a percentage, that is per 100 ml of blood. In men 47 plus minus 7, and in women 42 plus minus 5. MCH. MCH is the mean corpuscular hemoglobin, that is the mean hemoglobin that is present in one RBC. The unit is PG, that is picogram. MCH is hemoglobin value, what you have read in gram per deciliter, into 10 divided by the RBC count in millions, that is 3.5 to 4, whatever is the RBC count. The normal value is 29.5 plus minus 2.5 picogram. The values are increased in macrocytic anemia and decreased in microcytic anemia. They may also vary with age. Okay, why in increased in macrocytic anemia, decreased in microcytic anemia? Because in microcytic anemia there is hypochromia, hemoglobin is less, so MCH will be less. In macrocytic anemia the hemoglobin level is less but the chromia is more, so at times the MCH is increased in macrocytic anemia. MCV, mean corpuscular volume. From the word corpuscular you understand corpuscle, that is the RBC is known as a corpuscle. So what is the mean volume of the RBCs? The unit is femtoliter, not femtoliter, it is femtoliter. MCV is equal to PCV into 10 divided by the RBC count. Normal value is 86 plus minus 10 femtoliter. These values are increased in macrocytic anemia and decreased in microcytic anemia. They also vary a little with age. Now, third, most important, mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration. The percentage is percent or gram per liter. It is hemoglobin into 100 divided by the packed cell volume. Here MCH is mean corpuscular hemoglobin and MCHC is mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration. Because we are measuring the concentration, so the denominator is PCV. It is 32.5 plus minus 2. These values are increased in macrocytic anemia and decrease in microcytic anemia. Out of all the three values that we have discussed, MCHC is more specific when done manually. Why? Because it reflects the hemoglobin concentration of the whole red cell mass. That is why the PCV is taken as a denominator rather than one single RBC corpuscle as in MCH. And second, the RBC count is not taken into calculation, so errors are minimized. So if it is asked what is the most specific investigation for anemia, Out of MCV, MCH and MCHC, it is MCHC. Because we are measuring the hemoglobin concentration of the whole RBC mass rather than one single RBC, and the PCV is taken into consideration. So errors are minimized. Now, other routine investigations, peripheral blood smear. This helps in diagnosis of anemia in the following ways. For example, with the peripheral blood smear, what do you see? The morphology of the RBC, isn't it? That is, whether it is macrocytic, whether it is microcytic, whether it is normocytic, whether it is hemolytic. In hemolytic, what do you see? The different anisopoikilocytosis, difference in the size and shape of the RBCs. You can see the basophilia, you can see the target cells, the Heinz bodies, or you can also search for parasites, malarial parasite, microfilaria. So peripheral blood smear has always to supplement the CBC that is taken out with the machine, because the mechanized reports can give you the values, but what you see with your own eyes under the microscope is the gold standard. So RBC morphology, the total count, the platelet size, shape, all that can be ascertained with the peripheral blood smear. Now, ESR is an important investigation, but not a diagnostic investigation. Why? Because ESR is raised in many conditions: anemia, chronic disorders, chronic infections. So when the whole blood is allowed to stand in a vertical tube, the RBCs will slowly settle down in the bottom. There are 3 stages, as you know: the stage of sedimentation, the stage of Roulex formation, then the stage of sedimentation. So what is left at the bottom are the compact RBCs with the plasma as a supernatant. This settling of the RBC, or the amount of settled RBC, is known as the erythrocyte sedimentation. Its rate is fixed in a unit of time, and it is altered due to certain factors. So most common method is Wintrobe's tube, Wintrobe's hematocrit tube, and second is with the Vestigran's tube with 300 mm length, and its bore having 2.55 mm diameter with graduation of 0 to 200 millimeters. The Vestigran's method is more accurate, and Wintrobe's is now no more used. ESR, the normal values 0 to 9 for males, 0 to 20 for females. In Vestigran's 3 to 5 and 4 to 7. Now, we need to discuss the merits and demerits, but when we talk of ESR as a diagnostic method in anemia, we need not go into the merits and the demerits of these two methods. Now, ESR is increased in anemia. RBC mass is reduced as compared to the plasma, which enhances the Roulex formation. So ESR will be increased. Why? Because RBC mass is reduced, but Roulex formation is more. In chronic infection, tuberculosis, syphilis, because of increased globulins in the plasma, causes pressure over the mass, causing enhanced Roulex formation. The more the Roulex formation, the more is the ESR. What is Roulex? Have you seen? You take multiple 1 rupee or 2 rupee coin and you stack them on each other. That appearance is known as a Roulex formation. With others, you can have infarctions after surgery. Now, ESR is decreased in the following conditions: polycythemia vera, hyperalbuminemia, as albumin retards Roulex formation, congestive cardiac failure, as hemodilution decreases the pressure on the RBC mass. Okay, so the conditions that will stimulate or increase the Roulex formation will lead to increased ESR, and conditions that will retard the Roulex formation will decrease the ESR. Now, in children, it is very difficult to take that much of blood. So with micropapillary tubes, you just prick the heel, take very small amount of blood. There are special microcentrifuge machines, and you take the that is known as the zeta sedimentation rate. What are the other routine investigations? Stool examination for detection of hookworm and their ova. Very, very important. Whenever there is any child or school going children with iron deficiency anemia, along with blood examination, stool examination is very important for detection of Diphyllobothrium latum for megaloblastic anemia, and for detection of occult blood, as chronic blood loss in GI tract can occur in chronic MABSS. And gastric analysis to detect achlorhydria, because there can be absence of hydrochloric acid in the gastric juice that can lead to Addisonian pernicious anemia. So Not only blood investigation, but whenever there is a child or any school going child or any young person, male, female, with iron deficiency anemia, that is less hemoglobin, less MCH, less MCV, less MCHC, and increased DSR, microcytic hypochromic anemia on peripheral smear, go in for stool examination for detection of different worms and their ova. Now, retic count, very very important, especially in case of children and in cases of hemolytic anemia. Normally 0.5 to 1% increase in hemolytic anemia. Bone marrow biopsy in cases that are not responding, especially if there is pancytopenia on peripheral smear. Isn't it? Pancytopenia means decreased RBC, decreased WBC, decreased platelets. You must go in for bone marrow aspiration, either bone marrow aspiration directly or bone marrow trephine. Bone marrow trephine is rarely done. It is only done whenever there is a suspicion of malignant or aplastic anemia. So bone marrow aspiration, needle consists of 3 parts. There is a needle, there is a stellate, there is the guard. We do not need to go into the details of bone marrow aspiration. Just a word about what are the indications of bone marrow aspiration or biopsy. For diagnosis and differential diagnosis of anemia, diagnosis of leukemia and leukemoid reactions, leukemic leukemia, very important, parasites like malarial parasites and LD, metastasis from tumors, and the different storage diseases. Now, what are the contraindications? Hemophilia and if there is hemorrhage. Now, when you interpret the bone marrow biopsy or aspiration, very important, you have to talk about one, the cellularity, whether it's adequate or inadequate. What is the nature of erythropoiesis, whether it is normal, whether it is erythroblastic, whether it is normocytic, what is the condition of the myeloid series, whether the myeloid erythroid ratio is normal, raised or decreased, megakaryocytes, that is the precursor of the platelets, are they present or not, other cells, especially the Gaucher cells of storage disease or tumor cells, whether they are present or not, and last but not the least, you have to comment about the parasites. Now, coming on to special investigations. Now, the last part, first we had talked about basic, second the blood investigations, and now the special investigations. Now, this group will deal with the specialized, confirmatory and the supportive investigations used in the various types of anemia to either confirm, support or refute the subtype of anemia. For iron deficiency anemia, most important is serum iron concentration. Simple. You determine the amount of iron in the serum, normally 6 to 165, whether it is decreased in iron deficiency anemia and increased in hemolytic anemia. Second, TIBC, very important investigation, that is total iron binding capacity. Now, transferrin is the main protein in the blood that binds to iron and transports it throughout the body. Now, the amount of transferrin that is available to bind this iron and transport it is measured in TIBC. So, the unsaturated iron binding capacity, that is UIBC or transferrin saturation, is a very important part of special investigation of anemia. Now, serum iron binding capacity, saturation, that is serum iron and iron binding capacity have reverse relation. If serum iron is high, IBC will be low. If it is low, IBC will be high. This is increased in total serum iron binding capacity is increased in iron deficiency. Why? Because there is iron deficiency, more amount of iron will be binded so that it can be circulated. TIBC is increased in iron deficiency, acute and chronic blood loss, acute liver damage, pregnancy and OCPs. It is decreased in hemochromatosis, thalassemia, cirrhosis, anemia of chronic disease, nephrosis and hyperthyroidism. Now, serum ferritin. Ferritin is the storage iron binding protein. It will always be decreased in iron deficiency anemia, normal in anemia of chronic disease. This differentiates iron deficiency anemia from anemia of chronic disease. So, serum ferritin is the most important parameter to differentiate IDA from anemia of chronic disease. It is measured in nanogram per liter and it is always and always decreased in iron deficiency anemia. Why? Because this is the storage iron protein. If there is no iron, how can there be storage iron protein? Isn't it? So, lesser the iron, lesser the serum ferritin. Now, this is just the level. In newborns 25 to 200, in 1 month 200 to 600, 2 to 5 months 50 to 200 and 6 months to 15 years 7 to 140. Now, These are the reference values. Adults males 30 to 300, females 10 to 200, borderline 10 to 20, and excess is there in hemochromatosis more than 400. Now for megaloblastic anemia, vitamin B12 or cobalamin reference value is 190 to 900, folic acid estimation reference value is 3 to 25 nanogram. So if it is less than this, you can think of iron deficiency anemia, megaloblastic anemia. Now, special investigations for hemolytic anemia. On peripheral smear, you see anisopoikilocytosis and the different features of hemolytic anemia. But on investigation, serum bilirubin will be raised. Why? Because RBCs are breaking, hemoglobin is getting converted into biliverdin and bilirubin. Hence, bilirubin is increased. There will be increase in urobilinogen. RBCs will be more fragile. Osmotic fragility test. Reticulocyte count will be more. Why? Because there is increased hemolysis, increased breakdown of RBCs. The bone marrow will work more to compensate, and hence reticulocytosis will be there. And the Coombs test and tests for enzyme deficiency like G6PD. Now, what we learned. I have kept this page blank so that we remember what we have learned. What have we learned? First of all, we have revised the definition of anemia. We have gone through the different causes of anemia. We have understood that even if we are in an era of evidence-based medicine, along with blood investigations, the different investigations of CBC, ferritin, iron, ESR, clinical history is of utmost importance for diagnosing anemia. Thank you, and I hope that this lecture will give you some insight to this topic of anemia. And again, a sincere request, please go through the chapter of anemia in your Robbins textbook of pathology for a better insight. Thank you.